Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great Friday today with San Diego Comic-Con going on right now. All kinds of great reveals coming out. They're really exciting. Gets me thinking about convention exclusives in regards to Masterpiece Transformers. TFCon is usually the big reveals and the big exclusives for Masterpiece, but it's still kind of fun to think about what have we had in the past and why are we getting these figures and not others. What's a good convention exclusive for a Masterpiece Transformer and what's not? And of course, what would you like to see as a convention exclusive, something that probably won't get made for the mainline or for regular release, and maybe a small production for a convention? We'll talk about this and more coming up. So first off, I kind of want to talk about what I started noticing early on as convention exclusives, and I was like, why is that a convention exclusive? And why is it more expensive? At the time, this figure here was a G2 version coming out for a convention exclusive, and it had a different recolor, and it was about 20 bucks more expensive than the standard figure. Making G2 versions a convention exclusive, well, that's pretty good idea because not everybody's going to be on a G2 color scheme. In fact, the vast majority of the people won't. And they generally produce maybe 10 to 20% of the normal volume of a regular standard colored figure. So recoloring figures for Comic-Con, whether it be G2 or some obscure character recolor, makes a lot of sense because not everybody's going to be interested. It's going to carry a bit of a higher price point, and only those super enthusiasts are going to be into it. But the strange part about this is these things sell out. Almost always. I would say there's probably a couple out there that haven't sold out that I don't know about, but these recolors, these exclusives, seem to sell out pretty well, and it's because they're in small quantities, and because you're able to get them online. I don't know exactly the quantity percentage breakdown of how many are at the event and how many are sold online on the retailers, but they're still pretty easy to get. They have almost always been pretty easy to get from MMC, from the X-Transbots and all those. Those are pretty simple to get. So recoloring a main figure into a different character, or a character that's probably not going to have a lot of interest or a high level of interest, is really smart to do for a convention exclusive. There's a lot of obscure side characters that won't sell well, and they know this, and so that's why they make these convention exclusives. Probably the most popular mold for MMC to be a convention exclusive is their Sphinx, or their take on Mirage. I can't even imagine how many different color exclusives that they've made. But this one kind of comes to mind here, and I don't even know anything about it. But I'm sure people out there that have it are super stoked and excited that they have it. And so for that makes it really good for a convention exclusive. If this was made on a full production run and just sitting online, it probably would have had to go to clearance, and it wouldn't have been worth their time to even produce it. So this version of Sphinx, where they introduce translucent. So translucent parts and pieces, translucent figures are pretty cool. But this is a gimmick in a way. This is kind of Mirage disappearing, more or less. It shows some part of him being solid colored and painted, and part of him disappearing. And the different exclusives are him disappearing on different sides. It's really interesting. There's also a fully clear one in there that I think you put in the middle. So on one side you have the right side is more solid, then the left is clear, the middle one would be completely clear, and then the right side's clear and the left is solid. So you could set all this up. It's a pretty interesting idea. It spans over multiple different conventions, and it was one of those things that a buddy of mine had done and set up, and I didn't understand the concept at first until I saw it in person, and I thought it looked pretty cool. Now, there's this one right now. This year, the MMC is making these cassettes, and these are really cool for a lot of reasons. First off, the fact that you can get the mold again. So that's another reason to have a convention exclusive. So we can do another small run, and we can get the mold again and get it, transparent? See, if you don't have these already, and you say, well, I want to pick these up, and, I missed out on the last run, you could pick them up. I think there's still actually the originals available at other places, but still, for a main release where most places are going to be picking up these exclusives anyway online to have a small quantity to sell anyway, so it does make it pretty easy for people to get. And yeah, it's not just a convention exclusive these days. You don't just get it there, but it gives an opportunity for the mold. And that transparent, if you put that on your shelf, it's probably going to fit in just fine if you didn't have the standard ones anyway. But the transparent is very niche. Not everybody wants the clear plastic. A lot of people are scared that it's going to be brittle, it's going to break, and all those kinds of things. But some people really like the look and the aesthetic of the clear plastic. Other cassettes down the road that you would include would be something like their Ravage and their Jaguar. Now this thing looks really good in the standard colors. Recolored into this, I don't know how popular it was, but it's a convention exclusive. So making in much smaller quantities made this much more desirable. So sells, well, probably sold out. I mean, I'm not sure. I didn't check all like 23 or 30 sites that sell stuff like this, but for the most part, I bet you it's sold out just because it's lower quantities and it's interesting and it's a really good mold. MMC also made a whole different slew of Azalea or their RC in different color schemes for whatever reason. And again, I don't even know why. I mean, I don't know what the colors are for and what the different color variations are for, but it still looks pretty cool. And it's very interesting to see these. And for people who want more Fembots, I mean, yes, more cowbell. Yes, more Fembots. Let's get this. This is exciting for those people. And this thing was very wildly popular. I don't know, is it just me or does it seem like MMC owns these convention exclusives? But, you know, repainting figures into different color schemes that were pretty cool from the get-go, that's a really good way to go. And stuff that, like, hey, maybe I'm not interested in this one, be interested in the main one. Other people would be interested in this one. These convention exclusives with more obscure, different colored figures that maybe we all don't even know who they are or why they made them. Those other uses for the mold, it gives them a future plan for these companies to make a figure, to make a character, because one run and done isn't enough. Well, in the case of Arcos, the X-Transbox Arcos, they redid it. They did a green one. I have that green one. I think it's pretty cool. And in fact, I kind of like the green one better than the blue one now that I prefer the Fans Toys version. So with the swap outs, Fans Toys didn't make a green one, but X-Transbots made a green one. I believe it was a convention exclusive, and that's why it carries a much higher price point. It's still in stock at some places, but it's still pretty cool that they made it. And having this color variation, all the G2 kind of stuff, it is kind of fun. But more reuse out of the same mold, and it's future planning. X-Transbots is doing that with a lot of these obscure figures that are coming up. They're making other different versions. Not all of them are convention exclusive, mind you, but it is a concept that they look forward to in the future. Future planning for future characters. Now I want to talk for a bit about what should not be a convention exclusive. And it's something like these guys. These are highly anticipated Eject Rewind, Steeljaw, highly anticipated figures from MMC coming up. And these should be main releases, full-on production runs. They're going to sell very well because people really, really want these in their collections. And I guarantee you, this is not going to be a convention exclusive. But one thing that I do expect are recolors of these molds down the road, transparent versions, translucent versions down the road of some of these characters, and it will be pretty cool. I expect to see all the different colors in the rainbow of these guys over the next 5 years after the first set's released. And you never want exclusives of your main figures, the main characters. Those should never be exclusives. And I have a serious problem with that, which kind of just got revealed by Hasbro, that they're still not learning that lesson yet. And that kind of sucks, in my opinion. So I'll give that example here in a minute. But an Optimus Prime and a Bumblebee, those gotta be mainline releases, obviously. But recolors of them to other characters, well, if you recolor Bumblebee to Cliffjumper has to be a mainline release. He's still a main character. But you start redoing Bumble Jumpers and those kinds of things, now those could be exclusives for a convention. Next, I want to get into packaging. Now, this is actually not a masterpiece scale. This is a real time gone by, and it's one of those, I'm not even sure which one this is, but it's one of the older third-party companies that made them about chug scale. But getting exclusive type of packaging is always fun, and not everybody wants to keep their packaging. A lot of people throw their packaging away. But I would bet that most people that bought the G2 sets or exclusive sets still kept their packaging, still kept their boxes. The standard normal released figure probably chunked their packaging, but when it comes to these very special exclusive sets, I almost guarantee you, those collectors kept those boxes. Moreover than that, some of these are appealing because of the packaging. So when you think about it, it's probably left in the packaging, looking like it's straight off a G2 shelf in 1992 or 1993 or something along those lines. I remember seeing these in 96 still hanging at KB's, and I picked a few up back in the day. It's kind of cool packaging. It's a bit reminiscent, but of course, back in 93 and 96, I was thinking, why don't these look like original 84 packaging? I don't like this. But some people, this packaging is a nice homage to them, and they really enjoy it. They really like it, and that's why this is perfect for a convention exclusive. Now, I don't really know how obscure you guys would consider Alpha Trion or Ryan Pax, but I would say that Alpha Trion is pretty high on my list and a want list for figures. In fact, Alpha Trion did well at retail when he was released before as a recolor, repaint of, was it a Scourge back then? I don't even remember, but they remade a figure into Alpha Trion already in, I think, the Titan Returns line or something along those lines. And I thought he sold pretty well. I didn't see an abundance of them around. But now this go around, this is going to be a Pulse exclusive. And I know some of the Pulse exclusives are ridiculously brutal and almost impossible to get. So with that, that's how they're going to make this one. This is a mainline release. This isn't Masterpiece. But I wish Hasbro would learn not to do this kind of stuff and make these characters that they know have a broad appeal at retail, at full retail. Or if not, at least make sure there's enough quantity to satisfy projected demand and not be a very, very small, limited release for their PulseCon. So I'm curious, what is your favorite one of these exclusives that are con exclusives? Which I know it's almost redundant to say, but you can get the con exclusives at most third-party distributors when it comes to Transformers. It's a little bit different than most lines, which is pretty cool. But what's your favorite? And then, what would you like to see in the future as one of these exclusives? What do you think they should make as an exclusive? What do you think would be perfect and fit all of this as a con exclusive that probably won't do very well with a standard release? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. My dear Hanger out.